people don't know what I look like until now. Until they start going to the movies. They're gonna see my face. Big deal.
Yo, what's good? OmgHawk, OneManGang, back at y'all with another one.
All right, listen, yeah? For all my strugglers. Yo, you don't know. What, we can turn this one up for me, yeah?
You know, I hope everyone is well as always. If you made it here for the first time, I appreciate you stopping by. If you end up liking the video, please don't forget to hit the subscribe button and I'll keep them coming. And to my returning viewers, especially the subs, we passed the 1 year mark, gang. I appreciate every single one of you for real. Salute the day ones and everyone that's left comments and likes. It means more than you know, seriously. And much love to everyone that told me I was taking too long to drop this one. My bad, I got y'all. Also, salute to YouTube for opening up my community section. I thought I needed 500 subs for that, but I'm not complaining. We almost there anyway. I appreciate y'all too. Now, it wouldn't be right if I didn't let you know that today's video covers some extremely sensitive subject matter, and the details of the case are disturbing, and viewer discretion is advised. Alright, let's get right to it. The events in today's video bring us back to the Garden State,
Jersey!
But this time, we're visiting the infamous city of Camden, New Jersey.
I'll be on that Camden shit. I'll be on that Camden.
CMD, Camden, New Jersey, don't worry, we got it.
Camden, what's up? Stand up.
If I wasn't so Camden, I'd probably be broke. But my nickname, TMD.
Camden is located in South Jersey, just east of Philly, with the two cities separated by the Delaware River. Camden is a small city, only about 9 square miles in size, which makes it the 26th largest city in Jersey by area. But with a healthy population of just over 70,000 residents, CMD holds a spot for the 14th most populated city in the state. Camden has a beautiful cityscape with amazing views of the Delaware River and the Benjamin Franklin Bridge, as well as the towering Philadelphia skyline that sits across it. The Camden side might seem less visually impressive, as only Camden City Hall and the Northgate Apartments tower over the rest of the city. But besides the American Water Facility and the large vessels moving in and out the shipyards, there are also various beautiful parks, museums, and an aquarium right on the waterfront. Camden was incorporated as a city back in 1828. Walt Whitman, a highly regarded poet who many consider to be the greatest ever and the originator of the free verse, moved to Camden in 1873 and spent the last years of his life there. Walt had penned a poem titled, "I Dreamed in a Dream" in 1867, in which he wrote, "I dreamed in a dream, I saw a city invincible to the attacks of the whole rest of the earth." Camden would later adopt a section of this as his motto and became a city invincible. In 1891, a man named Joseph Campbell incorporated his soup business and opened his manufacturing center in the city. Campbell Soup quickly became one of the region's largest employers at the time. Soon after, the Victor Talking Machine Company was founded here, which would later be acquired by RCA, making it the second oldest record label in the world and the largest manufacturer of records and record players, called phonographs at the time. Camden was a large manufacturer of ships and ship parts, which became the main trade here during World Wars I and II. Now, this manufacturing boom and economic uptick started right after the end of the Civil War. As black families left the South and migrated north, many settled in Camden as there was plenty of work and opportunity. European immigrants from various countries had already been in Camden since the previous century, and in 1944, Campbell Soup went to Puerto Rico and recruited 1,500 Boricuas to work at the Camden factory for 67 cents an hour, which would be like $11 and some change in today's times.
One love to my fam in Boricua land.
And from that point on, Camden has been one of the most ethnically diverse cities in the region. Camden would unfortunately have the same sad story through the 19th century as many American cities that were considered manufacturing giants at one time would. Factories closed, white flight, boom, crack era. With all the factories closed, If you weren't working at one of the hospitals or teaching at Rutgers, opportunity and jobs were scarce. Drugs became the driving force behind Camden's economy, and as we know with drugs, violence is never too far behind. The CMD, which at some point became an acronym for Cash Murder Drugs, had a long-standing reputation as a treacherous city. Since the early 2000s, and possibly even before that, it consistently held a spot on the top 10 dangerous cities in America. Now, I don't want to beat you guys over the head with a bunch of statistics because I feel like Camden gets a bad rap already. I almost feel like people forget that sometimes these are real people living here and not just a piece and a percentage of a fucked up statistic that looks crazy on paper. Long story short, Camden got a lot of people in a small city with many systemic issues that go back decades, including racial inequality, lack of financial opportunity, a corrupt police department, and even had a couple mayors indicted and jailed for corruption. By the year 2012, Camden had reached #1 on the most dangerous cities list with more homicides per capita than any place in America. The national spotlight was on the city as news coverage of the violence and blight had the entire country tuning in. There were talks of an unprecedented reform of the Camden Metro Police Department, and some Camden residents were using the spotlight on the city to showcase the talent and positivity within Camden in hopes to provide some outlets.
All they come to Camden for is to get footage on somebody's death with a white sheet laying over them and chalk and outline and all that other shit. They don't come here for nothing else. CNN, all that shit, y'all heard about us. Time Magazine, all of y'all heard about us. But none of y'all sit back and say, yo, do any of them people in that city got talent? Yeah.
Although not everyone in the city was on that cash murder drugs-ish, many residents were, and the ones that were had 2012 almost feeling apocalyptic in the city. One element that definitely added to that aesthetic is a drug that has already had its formal introduction in this series.
Smoke that water, you know?
Oh,
say, smoke that water straight, though. So smoke that water, you run on the street, and I see all the people around here, and I say, I think they're gonna do something about it, because they're strong and massive now.
Where I'm from, it was called dust, but in Camden, it's called wet.
Wet, 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 wet.
Or water, which is a combination of weed or tea leaves or mint leaves saturated in liquid PCP. Now, that's just what I gathered from reading. If I'm wrong, dust heads, please let me know in the comments.
What's today's math, God? What's today's math, God? You manifest, you know what I'm saying? God manifest, you say it is knowledge, build and destroy are equal equality.
Break that down for those who don't know, fam.
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
Now, in Camden, known PCP addicts were referred to as wet patients. One such Camden resident was 34-year-old Siobhan Thomas. In the summer of 2012, Siobhan had just recently moved to the 1400 block of Keynes Avenue in the Parkside neighborhood with her 2-year-old son, Zahree Thomas. Zahree had made his grand arrival into the world back on December 11th, 2009. Now, unfortunately for Zahree, his mother Siobhan had struggled with severe mental illnesses for years and was also known as a wet patient herself. Now, these issues coupled up left her mentally disconnected more often than not and pretty much incapable of being a mother to her son. In late November of 2010, Siobhan had actually lost custody of Zahree after Camden Police found her almost incoherent walking in the street. She allegedly admitted to the officers that she had been smoking wet in a park around the way and had blacked out. She told police when she came to, she had forgotten where her son was. Police found baby Zahree soon after. He was unharmed, but Siobhan had left the infant alone in her parked car while she went to smoke. Siobhan was charged with child endangerment, and Zahree was removed from her custody and placed with her parents for his safety. Siobhan complied with court-ordered substance abuse and mental health treatment, and in July 2011, she regained custody of her son. The child endangerment charges were eventually dropped due to an issue with the witness, but unfortunately, Siobhan's positive streak wouldn't last long when she tested positive for PCP only a month later, and Zahree was again removed from her home and placed with his grandparents. You know, Siobhan really womaned up for the next 8 months. She went through various evaluations and completed court-ordered therapy, but more notably, she gave clean drug tests the whole time and was reunified with Zahree in April of 2012. In fact, even after having Zahree home with her, she continued to test clean for the following few months. The DCF caseworker was confident in Siobhan's progress to the point that they were preparing to close the case after their last home visit on July 3rd, 2012. Siobhan has successfully worked on herself and her issues for almost a year in efforts to get Zahree back home with her, which really makes the horrifying events that took place just a little more than a month after getting her son back so much harder to understand. Not too much is known about what exactly was going on with Siobhan on the night of August 21st, 2012. Her neighbors recall seeing her outside her house around 10:30 p.m. Siobhan was shirtless and visibly upset when she was sitting on the steps with her boyfriend. At some point, said boyfriend went on his way, and Siobhan went inside with Zahree. An hour and a half later, in the beginning minutes of August 22nd, 2012, a call was made to Camden's 911 dispatch center.
911, where's your emergency?
Yes, somebody just stabbed my baby. Please get here.
They just did what?
Stabbed my baby.
Do they know who it was, ma'am?
Yes, it's my boyfriend, my current boyfriend.
All right, we'll send somebody up there.
Yep. You better, wait, you know what? I don't even want to play this. I did it, okay? I did it.
Stay on the phone, okay?
Do you take medicine?
Swear, I used to.
What kind did you take?
Prozac.
Prozac. Oh, okay. You don't take it anymore?
Nope.
Okay. What's your name?
Wait. I do.
You still take it?
I still take it.
Did you take it today?
I still take it. I still take it. No, I didn't. No, I didn't take it today, but I should have.
Oh, okay.
I should have.
Where are you?
Should have took it today.
Responding officers arrived at the Canes Avenue home while the 911 dispatcher was doing his best to keep Siobhan on the phone. Siobhan was barricaded in a bedroom on the second floor of the house. Officers concerned about the child's welfare immediately made entry through the front door to the first floor and were met with an unimaginably gruesome and heartbreaking sight. 2-year-old Zahree's lifeless body was laying on the floor in a pool of blood. Officers would take a closer look and notice it was only his body. 2-year-old Zahree had been decapitated, and it was apparent he was deceased. Blood evidence on the first floor would lead police to the kitchen, where they opened the freezer to the gut-wrenching sight of Zahree's head sitting inside. Responding officers, now realizing the gravity of the situation and not knowing what kind of weaponry Siobhan had, backed out of the house and secured the perimeter. Siobhan had hung up on 911, and Camden police attempted to make contact with her to negotiate her surrender. After some time went by and attempts to talk to Siobhan were met with no response, police forced their way inside the upstairs bedroom and found her lifeless body on the floor in a pool of blood. She had a large self-inflicted wound to her neck and was pronounced dead on scene.
Crime tape stretches around a New Jersey home that police say was the scene of a grisly murder-suicide. Authorities say a woman decapitated her 2-year-old son and put the boy's head in her freezer. Officials say Siobhan Thomas killed her son and called 911 just after midnight Tuesday. Initially, the 33-year-old accused her boyfriend of stabbing the boy. Then she repeatedly said, "I did it." Minutes after she hung up on dispatchers, police said Thomas fatally stabbed herself.
Now, even for a city as hard knock as Camden, the way they lost Zahree was something different. I mean, CMD was definitely no stranger to grief, as this was somewhere close to, if not somewhere past, the 50th homicide the city felt that year. It's unimaginable that anyone, let alone this handsome young child's own mother, could actually commit such a heinous act. Now, given Siobhan's reputation for smoking that ish, suspicions and speculation immediately went right to the wet. It's true PCP has a history of causing erratic and unpredictable behavior, but could a bad trip actually cause a mother to decapitate her own child? An extreme but very real question at the time, as Camden was struggling to find some level of understanding for a tragedy that left everyone devastated. DCF was quickly scrutinized in the media for allowing Zahree to return to his mother's custody, but before Camden could even finish grieving Zahree and really start the finger pointing, another heartbreaking tragedy would straight gut check the invincible city. With Camden's deadly summer of 2012 almost over and September approaching, 6-year-old Dominick Andujar was just a kid anticipating a great start to his first grade year at Eco Charter School. Dominick had made his grand arrival into the world back on March 18th, 2006. He's actually a twin and was holding his brother Dave's hand at the time of their delivery, but tragically Dave passed away during the birth. This made Dominick the only boy in a family with 3 older sisters and their mother, Debbie Burgos. Debbie and the kid's father split when Dominick was about 2 years old, and Debbie recalls her son had gained a mature aura as he was the man of the house ever since. Dominick was always a natural protector, maybe even since his first day on Earth when holding bro's hand. He was close with and protective of all his sisters and mother. Dominick would grow to be a sweet, typical 6-year-old boy. He loved playing Xbox and Wii games and wrestling with his friends and his sisters. He played T-ball all that summer with his 9-year-old sister Amy, and the whole family would pull up to practices and games together. The founder of the North Camden Little League told reporters, quote, "They were endlessly a family. They pulled up in the minivan and everyone jumped out. The tight family unit had a tradition where everyone would stay up late on the eve of their birthdays and sing happy birthday and celebrate once the clock struck midnight." This was the plan on Saturday, September 1st, 2012. Dominick's sister Amber was turning 12 the following day, and the family was planning on going to Clementon Park on Sunday to celebrate her birthday for the extended Labor Day weekend. Debbie had an existing medical issue that was starting to cause her some pain. In fears of the pain getting worse, Debbie decided she would go to the hospital that night. After singing happy birthday to Amber, Debbie left the family home on the 900 block of Ware Street in the Roosevelt Manor housing complex and drove to the emergency room at Virtual Hospital. Dominick had fallen asleep and Amber fell asleep on the living room couch, while Amy and 14-year-old Tierra had went to sleep upstairs. Sometime around 2 a.m., she was awoken by the horrible presence of a man covering her mouth while he whispered, "If you scream, I'ma slice your throat." The man started to indecently assault Amber while holding a kitchen knife to her throat that he took from a block in the family's kitchen. The attack woke up Dominick, who immediately, without hesitation, rushed to his sister's defense. Dominick ran to the kitchen, grabbed a knife out of that same knife block, and got to hacking at his sister's attacker. Amber looked down and saw her little brother was right there, all the way engaged in a full-on knife fight with a grown man. She saw her opportunity to free herself and get off the couch, but when she moved, the attacker cut Amber severely across her throat. She got to her feet, but had slipped on the bloody floor when her attacker was able to inflict more damage. With Dominick's help, Amber was able to run out the house and start banging on neighbors' doors for help, while Dominick fought the man inside. Thankfully for Amber, after banging and ringing doorbells, Shakira Brown, who lived a few doors down, opened her door to the horrifying sight of Amber's extensive injuries. The young girl was so bloody, Shakira didn't initially recognize her. Shakira's teenage brother, Wilson, pulled Amber in the house and wrapped a blanket around her neck while she called 911. Upon realizing it was Amber, Shakira became frantic while Wilson raced over to the house to check on Amber's siblings. Tragically, he found Dominick's lifeless body laying on the floor in the living room. Tierra had to come downstairs to find her brother on the floor and then follow the blood trail leading out the front door and up the street where Amber was waiting for the ambulance with Shakira and Wilson. Tierra broke down crying and could be heard on a 911 call, expressing her love for her sister and begging her to hold on. When asked what happened and who did this, Amber was able to mutter out something to the effect of the poppy. She also managed to say the people that we fought did this before Camden EMS arrived and took her to Cooper University Medical Center. The responding paramedics said Amber's injuries were so bad that her vocal cords were visible. Tragically, 6-year-old Dominick had succumbed to his injuries. He was pronounced deceased on scene at 3:02 a.m. The young child suffered from multiple severe lacerations to the neck and other areas which ultimately ended his life. Upon arriving at Cooper, Amber was in critical condition. As doctors were working hard to stabilize her, Debbie had just been discharged from virtual hospital when her phone started ringing. When she answered, she heard someone speak the chilling words, "Your son's throat just got sliced." Debbie drove straight to Cooper, hoping this wasn't the reality, but when she arrived, she was met by detectives and doctors and given the heart-shattering news that Dominick was no longer alive. She was taken to where he was and positively identified her son while he laid on a stretcher. In a terrible twist of fate, she was then asked by the doctor for consent to operate on Amber. Now, up until that moment, she had no idea Amber had been attacked too. A devastated Debbie gave consent, and surgeons worked through the rest of the night to repair Amber's trachea and esophagus, which were both cut during the attack. Back on Ware Street, police had locked down the neighborhood and taped off a large crime scene which extended originally from the family's home, a ways down the street to Shakira's home. Crime scene investigators at the scene noticed a large bloody footprint in the family's living room, along with bloodstains that were leading out the back door. It was quickly determined whoever had left this trail was cut badly, as large amounts of blood made a trail that detectives were able to follow from behind the houses on Ware down to South 10th Street before the trail ended. Detective Terry King interviewed Debbie in order to develop a lead as to who could have possibly done this. Debbie fought through her pain and grief and thought about who could have possibly wanted to hurt the family. After some thought, Debbie had a strong gut feeling it was related to a neighborhood beef she was having with a woman and her boyfriend a few doors down. A few months prior, 14-year-old Tierra had a verbal altercation with a woman named Marisol that lived a few doors down on the South 10th Street side. Debbie later confronted Marisol for arguing with the child, and they got to fighting. Police were called, and Marisol received a summons to appear in court for simple assault. Now, with the case still pending, Debbie felt that Marisol and her boyfriend, who was a known wet patient, could have came to retaliate on her and the kids, which was kind of corroborated by Amber saying, "The people we fought did this." Marisol and her boyfriend were quickly found and brought in for questioning, but were found to have solid alibis and excluded from involvement in the attack. Detectives then brought Shakira, the neighbor whose house Amber received help from, in for questioning. Thankfully, Shakira's knowledge of the people on her side of Roosevelt Manor would prove vital in connecting the dots and identifying the suspect. Now, when Amber was first asked, everyone heard the poppy. Now, it was initially assumed she was just describing an older Puerto Rican man, since the term poppy is generally used this way. When Shakira was interviewed, she told detectives about her suspicions that Amber was referring to a particular poppy known in the neighborhood as Popeye. Shakira told investigators Popeye was another wet patient that was always getting high and drunk at the home of Marisol and her boyfriend.
Is that wet? Because he was out there smoking wet.
Debbie would confirm that Popeye was Marisol's brother, 31-year-old Osvaldo Rivera, and he became the primary person of interest. By the early afternoon of September 2nd, just 10 hours after the attack, Amber was out of surgery and spending her birthday afternoon fighting for her life at Cooper. Around that same time, a Camden police officer near the intersection of Chelton Ave and Mulford Street found 2 bloody kitchen knives in a vacant lot and a trail of blood drops, they were coincidentally able to follow all the way to the doorstep of Popeye's mother, Abigail. Now, when Abigail was questioned by Detective King, she admitted that her son Osvaldo had came by her home in the early morning hours. He was bleeding from various cuts and asked her for a ride. She initially thought he got jumped, but when she asked him what happened, he would only say, I fucked up, get me out of here. She helped him clean up and gave him towels for his wounds before driving him all the way uptown and dropping him off somewhere on River Road. Now, soon after questioning Popeye's mother, Amber made it out of her surgeries and was in stable condition. She had a breathing tube inserted, but wrote on a piece of paper that she was ready to tell the police what happened. Detective King went back to Cooper to interview Amber. The breathing tube was removed, and the first words Amber pushed out were, "He freed me," in reference to her brother's heroic actions. She recounted the terror her and her brother experienced the previous night and confirmed that Popeye, 31-year-old Osvaldo Rivera, was in fact the monster responsible. The manhunt was on in Camden as police desperately wanted Popeye in custody. His picture was all over the local news as police asked for the public's help in locating him. Thankfully, not even 15 hours after the attack on the children, a man named Edgar contacted Camden Metro Police claiming he had information about the man they were looking for. When questioned, he informed detectives he was friends with Popeye but hadn't seen him that day. He said he owned an apartment on the 3200 block of River Road that he didn't live at and would allow Popeye to stay there from time to time. He figured since this was close to where Popeye was last reported seen, there was a good chance he was there hiding out. When detectives asked him if he knew for certain whether or not Popeye was there, he said, "I don't know, I'm afraid to go over there." He gave police consent to search the residence, and Camden Police raced over to the address. A SWAT team entered the apartment and found Popeye hiding in an upstairs bedroom in between a bed and the wall. He was taken into custody and brought to Camden Metro Homicide for questioning. Popeye had multiple deep lacerations to his hands and arms, with one of his thumbs almost amputated. A search of the River Road apartment he was holed up in turned up further evidence, including a bloody shirt and bloody sneakers, which matched the bloody sneaker print found at the crime scene. When questioned, Popeye told detectives he had blacked out after smoking wet and didn't remember what. Detective King informed him that Dominick had passed away, and Popeye broke down screaming and crying. Detective King confronted him about the mountain of evidence they had collected and let him know that Amber survived and she had already told everyone what he had done. On Monday, September 3rd, 2012, at 2 a.m., Popeye was booked into Camden County Jail on charges of murder and attempted murder and was arraigned the following day in Camden Superior Court. Popeye sobbed through the hearing with his head down, and the siblings' family members cried and gasped as the prosecutor described the details of the crimes in question. Even with the multitude of evidence against him, Popeye entered a plea of not guilty. The state was asking for a $5 million bond, which was quickly granted by Judge Thomas Brawl Jr., and Popeye was sitting county awaiting trial. To say Camden was heartbroken would be an understatement. Although the city was already off the hook as far as violence went that year, we know it's a different kind of pain when innocent children are involved. Although grisly crimes like these do happen, for the small city of Camden to experience two separate brutal murders of children within such a small time frame left everyone uneasy, especially since the perpetrators of both incidents were both known to smoke wet. The question now was, is there a bad batch of PCP being distributed in Camden with the side effect of extreme violence? Camden Police started shutting down wet traps that week, sending samples to the feds for analysis, and offering a $500 reward to residents with information on anyone selling wet in the city. Loved ones of wet patients were calling outreach facilities and rehab centers trying to get treatment for their people like never before. Dominick was laid to rest on September 8th, 2012. many vigils were held in the immediate wake of Dominick's passing. There was an overwhelming outpour of support from the community with donations, candles, cards, and meals for the family, which I personally thought was the realest gesture. Amber would spend a couple months in the hospital recovering from her injuries. She went through physical and emotional therapy, and in time she regained her ability to speak and swallow food again. At some point, Popeye was offered a plea deal for 65 years, which he declined, and the case finally went to trial in late 2014. Amber got on the stand rocking her scars like a boss and told the court about the night that changed her life forever. She detailed Dominick's heroism and bravery for the court. Popeye had no chance. With Amber's testimony, alongside concrete DNA evidence, and Assistant Camden County Prosecutor Christine Shaw's 45-minute closing argument that had the jury in tears, it only took 2 hours for the jury to return a verdict of guilty on all counts. Osvaldo Rivera, aka Popeye, was sentenced to a total of 110 years in prison for his crimes. He is currently housed at the New Jersey State Prison in Trenton.
Dominick's mother has his face tattooed on her arm, an image she hopes Rivera never forgets.
You're going to pay. You're going to pay. And this is, this is the beginning. This is the beginning of what you did, And Dominick's spirit will always be around you. He will always be around you, and he's always going to remind you.
Amber addressed the court saying, quote, "Today I stand here as a survivor. Even though he took a part of me away, in the end, you did not win. We won because I made it." Camden Police Chief Scott Thompson said, quote, "There is no sentence or punishment harsh enough for this amoral individual. The name that people should remember is that of Dominick Andujar, the 6-year-old murder victim who saved his 12-year-old sister's life through one of the most heroic acts of self-sacrifice that I've ever known. Dominick will always be remembered as Camden's littlest hero." On July 27, 2021, the city honored their littlest hero with the dedication of Dominick Andujar Park in North Camden. First and foremost, my condolences to Zahree Thomas's family, as well as Dominick's family, and everyone directly affected by these tragedies. And I wish Amber the absolute best moving forward. She's a true hero in my book along with her brother. Much love to Shakira Brown and Wilson too. You guys are true heroes as well. Dominick Andujar made the ultimate sacrifice for his family. A choice that a 6-year-old child should never have to make. After Dominick's passing, his kindergarten teacher returned his journal to his mother. In one of his first writing assignments, he wrote, "I'm a superhero. I save people." It's like Lil Man already knew what he was. As much as everyone likes to talk about what they would do in certain situations, you never know until it happens. And I get it. Violence sucks, and it can be scary, so I'm not judging anyone for freezing up. But a lot of y'all cap like y'all trained to go. And I honestly hope it never gets that real for y'all, but 6-year-old Dominick stood on his for real, and will always be remembered and regarded for his bravery and heroism. And as tragic as your loss was, just picturing you up there kicking it with your bro makes me smile. Rest well, young king. Camden got you. The year 2012 was a traumatic year for the city of Camden, and I think it's safe to say that the wet wasn't making murderers. The city was. Nothing unusual was found in the PCP tested by the feds. Siobhan did in fact relapse, which probably caused her psychotic behavior, but she had other mental health issues that could have been just as responsible. And as far as Popeye, Popeye reportedly has 10 kids.
I heard you say you got 10 kids. True. I salute you. That's G shit.
And many people would say that he was a nice guy and couldn't believe he was capable of such despicable crimes. Turns out, this wasn't a psychotic break induced by PCP. Popeye just a pedophile. In 2015, Popeye pleaded guilty to crimes involving the indecent assault of a 2-month-old child.
Man, you are.
Yeah, he all set. In 2013, Camden actually fired its entire police department and started over, hiring new officers and retraining rehires with a new focus on community policing and building relationships. Whether or not it's working depends on who you ask.
Run, bro!
But the concept alone is admirable. Along with these major municipal changes, the attention brought to Camden by the previous year's record-breaking violence started a creative revolution in which rappers, singers, filmmakers, and all types of creatives got busier than ever in hopes that talent from the city would get recognized too, have someone get put on, and open the floodgates for Camden into the industry. You know, although there hasn't been anyone that reached superstar status as of yet, that climate of creatives just pushing each other to be greater and the healthy competition of trying to be the first to get on from your city is what really breeds greatness in my opinion. And the way I see it, the legacies of Zahree Thomas, Dominick Andujar, and the other 65 people Camden lost to violence in 2012 will forever be intertwined with what we'll call Camden's modern day renaissance. If you're still here, I really appreciate you. Salute to everyone from Camden staying positive and working hard to make the city better every day. Salute to the Devin Wade Show, one of the best shows on YouTube, period. Straight out of Camden. Salute Dev, Porter Rich, Wally, and Monica. Great creatives representing Camden correctly. Support Camden's sophisticated sisters and distinguished brothers. Much love to everybody out east. North Camden, Parkside, Pollock Town, Kramer Hill, Fairview, Lakeshore.
And who else?
The whole Camden, you might have.
I appreciate y'all. Please stay well and stay safe. Until next time, OneManGang.